Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. My name is Scott. If you're already a supporter and subscriber of my channel, thank you so much for your support. If this is your first time here and you're looking for reviews of different whiskeys such as bourbons, ryes, American style whiskeys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification. That's going to alert you to when I'm doing new uploads, live streams, things along those lines. Also, if you're interested in contributing to the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. So today we're going to be doing a review of a product or products from Rabbit Hole Distilling out of Louisville, Kentucky. This is going to be their Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, as well as their Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey. But before we get into the review, let's roll the intro. So as I said before, we're going to be doing a review today of two products, again, from Rabbit Hole Distilling. First, we're going to do the bourbon. So I'd like to start out with the bourbons. When I'm doing a bourbon and rye, just to not have the rye influence the flavor profile of the bourbon. So we'll start with the bourbon first. Again, this is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey, so we know it's a minimum of 2 years. And we'll kind of get into the rye shortly down through the review. So first I wanted to give just a little bit of information regarding this product, the Straight Bourbon Whiskey first. So again, this is basically they're non-distilled producers, meaning they're sourcing the whiskey from an unknown distillery and them, basically producing the whiskey for them. So mash bill on this was 70% corn, 10% malted wheat, 10% malted barley, and a 10% honey malted barley. So their bourbon technically is considered a 4-grain bourbon. Their char level that they use in their barrels is a char number 3. Proof on this, 95 proof or 47.5% ABV. Basically, again, non-age stated. However, it's a straight whiskey, so we know it's a minimum of 2 years old. MSRP on this is right around that $50 or $55 price range. So in terms of today's market, you're starting to get into more of the, slightly above the mid-level of what kind of an average or above average bourbon is kind of starting to run. So, and again, we'll get into the rye shortly. So, like I try to do with most or all of my reviews, we'll go through the appearance, we'll go through the nosing, the tasting, and then the finish part of it, and then any other real general information kind of regarding the products or the channel itself. So, all right, so let's get into this. So as you can see, kind of a nice light copper, kind of darker amber type of color. So, for it only being roughly 2 years old, it's got a decent color to it. So, all right, let's get into the nose. So right away you're starting to pick up, a fair amount of oak. Even though it's 2 years old, you get a nice kind of hit of oak. Vanilla, there's some kind of like a sweet vanilla kind of note to it. A little bit of a soft kind of floral note. I'm guessing that's probably coming from the different wheat and malted barley. There is that honey malted barley in there, so that may naturally give it a little extra sweetness. A little bit of a citrus, and really more of like a green citrus, so like a grape or an apple, something along those lines. Maybe a tad bit of cinnamon in there. Yeah, so a fairly standard nice kind of pleasant nose to it. So let's give this a try. Cheers. Get the palate coated a little bit here, and then we'll kind of go back in for another taste and see what it's kind of giving us there. So you're still picking up right away, a little bit of heat, you know, at 95 proof, you know, going to give you a little something, not crazy or anything like that. Still get a little bit of that right up front, a little bit of that oak, like I was getting on the nose before. You're also picking up some of that green citrus, you know, more along the lines of a kind of a green apple type of note to it. You know, a little bit of kind of doughiness or that wheat presence is there. A little bit of that maltiness is kind of wanting to come through as well, with there being two different types of malt grain in here. Naturally, you'd probably pick that up. Combine those the two malts were approximately 20%, so, or 20%. So you naturally get a little bit of that maltiness kind of coming through. But a lot of the standard, you know, bourbon profiles with this, however, with it being essentially wheated, it's a little bit softer, a little more like kind of floral. Still fairly approachable, you know, but a nice kind of, you know, easy sipping, you know, bourbon. But yeah, I'd say, you know, as the finish kind of begins to develop, you're kind of left with a little bit of dryness. That oak, that kind of green apple citrus is kind of still lingering there. You know, finish probably on the medium side. Has a decent mouthfeel to it. Not overly viscous or mouth coating or anything along those lines. I would say this is a nice kind of solid, you know, drinking, you know, bourbon for the most part. So, but yeah, nice job. It'll be interesting to see as their product. I know this is, again, you know, not their product. It's sourced. We'll see with their new distillery in the downtown Louisville area, kind of where the profile kind of goes from there. So, but yeah, nice, you know, kind of medium bodied, you know, easy drinking, you know, bourbon for the most part. All right, so let's get into the rye whiskey. All right, kind of take a couple sips there. All right, so as you can see, a little lighter. So this is maybe just a tad lighter. Again, you know, we'll kind of go through some of the specs or the details of this in a second. But as you can see, kind of more of a you know, darker kind of honey type of color to it. So, all right. So again, this is going to be their Kentucky straight rye whiskey. Again, this is a source product as well. Mash bill on this. This is a 95% rye, 5% malted barley. Again, they use the char number 3 in their barrels. Again, we know minimum of 2 years old. So let's see, MSRP on this, right around that $50 range. Again, mash bill 95 rye, 5% malted barley, char number 3, 95 proof, 47.5% ABV. So, all right. So again, we can see nice kind of honey tone to that. So, all right, let's get into the nose. So interesting with this, right away you pick up a little bit of that kind of that spearmint, That's still followed by some vanilla. Nice rye spice to it. That 95.5 is a relatively common rye mash bill, so it's fairly standard in terms of what you pick up from that. However, with this, I'm getting a little bit more of the vanilla and a little bit of oak on this. Again, I'm getting a little bit of that kind of a citrusy note to it as well. A nice kind of a nice honey note to that. Yeah, it's a really nice kind of nosing mash bill. I'm a fan of the 95.5 rye mash bill. So, all right, let's get into the taste. Cheers. So like I did with the bourbon, I want to kind of take another sip just to kind of get the mouth kind of acclimated, prepared for really what it is you're about ready to taste. You know, a lot of times with, you know, something 95, proof or higher, that initial wave of heat will want to get to you. And then by taking another, sip or two, you really get a better idea of what the overall flavor profile is going to be. So to judge off of a first sip, I wouldn't, it wouldn't be something I would recommend doing just because it can be a bit of a shock to the palate. So fairly standard 95.5 rye mash bill palate wise. You get hit with a really, really nice spearmint, oak, a little bit of vanillas there, still some citrus. Leaves a nice little kind of tingle on your tongue. For me, this coats the mouth much more than the bourbon did. Again, leaves a little bit of a tingle. Yeah, nice mouthfeel. Finish probably average in terms of, medium length. Still leaves you with that really nice kind of oaky rye spice that's there. Yeah, that citrus, that green apple, it's kind of wanting to come out in this as well. So that's fairly standard in terms of what I get a lot of times with that, again, that 95.5 rye mash bill. So it's a really solid, nice drinking rye whiskey. I don't think you can really ever go wrong with that mash bill in itself. So really, really fantastic, rye whiskey. Nice to sip on, makes fantastic cocktails. Proof-wise, I think it's a nice proof to have, for a cocktail. Anything in that 95 to 100, maybe 105, really allows for a nice cocktail to be, made with that. So, but again, finish-wise, probably on the medium side, just, full of that nice rye spice that's there. Great mouthfeel. So, yeah, I think they've done a really nice job. It'll be, again, interesting to see how their products develop once it becomes their own distillate that they're starting to produce. But for right now, this is all a source product. So again, fantastic, products. I think they've done a good job. Bourbon, I would say, in terms of just a little bit of a recap, I would say this is, more on the average side. It's a standard, flavor profile, a little bit more, little softer with the wheat being there. And then again, with the rye, that's a really nice, 95.5 rye mash bill. So yeah, go check them out. I'll have links in the description below to the distillery. You can look up a little bit more information regarding Rabbit Hole Distillery. So with that being said, so if you're already a subscriber, again, thank you. If not, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, like the video. And again, I'll have links to my Patreon page. If it's something you want to contribute or support the channel, you can that way. Again, links in the description below. So like I say, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.